Perfect. So people always ask how we sail with a dog. We can't do long trips like most people. Usually we can only do like 35 to 50 miles a day kind of thing. 50 at the most, just because he has to go for walks. So we try to get him out to go for like 3 walks a day if we're sailing. Yeah.
Every marina that we go to, people ask.
People always ask us.
They're always
like,
asking about the dog.
Yeah. How do you sail with him? So people just aren't used to doing to sailing with dogs. I guess people can usually sail overnight and they can take like really long trips. We can't. Like we have to plan our routes really strategically so that we can only do like 35, stop, walk the dog. 35, stop, whatever. We're always walking every time we go somewhere. We're in a new place. So
show up in just like the middle of nowhere kind of thing. Take him for a walk, and like in Greece, Albania, and Montenegro, there was like a ton of stray dogs everywhere.
Yeah.
And
you have to be really careful.
Yeah, you just gotta be really careful and stuff like that, because when we've rented cars, the dogs will chase the cars, trying to bite cars.
Yeah,
and stuff like that,
Greece, especially Greece, there was a lot of stray dogs, and you just never knew what you were getting. Like some of them were friendly, some of them weren't friendly, so that was a bit scary. Walking him, like you just don't know what you're running into. So we try to keep him on a leash. We try to just keep a lookout. Usually the stray dogs, like, you can scare them off. Like, they're scared of people, but they will come at the dog sometimes, so you just have to have your guard up so you can, like, scare them.
Croatia's been really good, though.
Croatia has nothing. Croatia has no stray dogs, so that's good. People ask about weather. Like, what do we do when it's wavy? Does the dog like it? He doesn't. We try not to sail if the weather's bad. Specifically, usually because the dog doesn't like it. It stresses him out, so we try to pick our windows so we're not out in big waves and bad weather.
For sailing, he'll just be moving all around the cockpit, jumping on the ground, jumping on the seats.
If he doesn't like the weather, he's just like agitated, so we try to avoid that. Sometimes it's unavoidable. If we like find ourselves in a like sporadic storm, I'll just go downstairs and I'll take him into the bedroom and we'll just like sit in the bedroom or something. And he likes that better than sitting up on the deck. Food. Changing over his food. We cannot, like, this is one of the difficult parts of sailing with your dog. His food, we have to constantly keep changing it because every country we go to, you can only buy like the biggest bag. If you're gone for 7-8 months, whatever, he's gonna go through like a bag a month at least. So every country we go to, they don't have the same type of dog food, and you can't order things in because you're on a boat. So you have to pick up whatever they have at the pet store. So we find we're having to change his food a lot. He sometimes likes them, he sometimes doesn't. He's really picky. We just got a dog food for him now that he does like, and he tends to gobble it up. We bought it at the vet's office, and it was like a really expensive, like really good dog food. The other ones, like some of them weren't like the best, I guess. You have to put ketchup and all sorts of stuff on it to get him to eat it. This one he'll just eat, no problem. So yeah, changing the dog food all the time. You just don't really have a choice. What else, Lenny?
We got Lenny an EU pet passport.
Oh yeah, like the logistics of traveling.
Yeah.
Here, we'll do another whole video. We're walking to get Lenny a dog life jacket at a pet store in Croatia.
We also got Lenny a EU pet passport so that he can travel within Europe. we had to get all of our paperwork from Canada to be able to get him a EU pet passport, which that was a headache. But once we actually got to Greece, the pet passport was like 20 euros or something.
Yeah,
really
we
cheap.
spent like months and months in Canada trying to get all the paperwork, whatever, like all these like stupid rules. Like he had to get a double rabies vaccinated because like they only accept 1-year rabies vaccines in Europe, but they do 3-year ones in Canada. Anyways, all this like weird like logistics of it. He was microchipped before he got his rabies, so it didn't count or something, or he's microchipped after he got his rabies vaccine, so it didn't count. So we did like books, like just heaps of paperwork in Canada.
Yeah.
And we got to the vet's office in Greece.
Spending a fortune. Like
Spending a fortune. We get to the pet's office, to the vet office in Greece, and we just $20. The guy just gives us like the EU pet passport, like the blue book. Stamps it, and that was it. He screwed it up. Like he royally screwed up he folded the pages all like crazy, and like it's like scribble. Like I've never even had anybody look at it.
No, like
so
I'm usually the one who has to go check in.
Yeah.
And Bailey stays on the boat with Lenny. And I'll hand them the EU pet passport with our passports, and they
don't even look at it.
They look at it, and they don't even open it. They just hand it right back to me. And they don't. In Albania, there was nothing. Montenegro, there was nothing. And same with Croatia, they didn't even look at it.
Yeah, and Greece, they didn't look at it when we entered Greece either. We flew into Greece with our Canadian stuff, and they never asked for it either.
Yeah.
Like, so we, like, were really overthinking traveling with a dog around Europe. Like, I was really looking into the paperwork side of things because I was, like, pretty nervous that something, like, bad might happen. Like, whatever, he might have to quarantine or this or that if the paperwork's not proper. And I think I just overthought it. Like, I've never been asked to show anything for him. They don't care when you have it. Like, they don't want to see it. It's definitely good to have. Like, don't travel Europe without your EU pet passport, because that is like universally just kind of recognized as their bill of health kind of thing. But you don't need to overthink it. You know, really don't need to stress about it. Just have that passport on you. If they ask for it, you have it. Most of the time, they're not going to ask for it. Yeah. We had to do a rabies tilter test when we got to Greece, just so we had the piece of paper for Turkey. But we didn't end up going to Turkey, and looking back, I don't think they would have asked for it anyway, but we did it anyway.
Now we have it, and it lasts
Now we have it.
forever.
He likes that food. It's cat food.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And you can lift them up too. This is an extra large though, and that looks like it fits him.
There's that one, and then there's this one.
This looks like a wetsuit. It's funny. The only thing about this one is it goes between his legs, so you can't slip out of it. Like, look, there's a leg. There's actually like a floating piece in between his legs here.
Yeah.
So it would float him up in that air more.
I think I'm gonna get him this toy.
What do you think?
The squeak. Seems pretty
Whereas
durable.
this one can like rotate. Do you want the squirrel, Lenny? Oh, Lenny gets in his squeaker. Austin's off trying to get, he says the seagulls shit on the dinghy. He's like, has a feud with the seagulls. He's off trying to get the seagulls off the dinghy right now, so we'll take 10. Okay, so I think the last couple things that we're going to touch on is finding a good vet if you need a vet. Sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere and it's hard. And the other thing we'll touch on is making sure he gets enough exercise. So first, finding a good vet. We had to get a lump cut off of his leg. He grew like some weird wart thing, and it just like looked kind of sketchy. So we're like, okay, well, we'll just cut it off. But then you're thinking, okay, he has to have surgery. Like, they have to knock him out, and you're going to a vet's office that you've never been to before. So that's a bit nerve-wracking. Like, you're, like, looking at, like, reviews online, and, like, we went into consultation. They seemed good and everything. We really liked the vet that we took him to get that removed. But even just getting to that place, it was, like, where was that?
Zadar.
The vet in Zadar. Like, even just getting to Zadar, like, we had to wait to get the lump cut off until we were in Zadar, until we were near the vet that we wanted to go to. And yeah, he got his little lump cut off. We rented a car to go do it because we were walking everywhere, and he was gonna be all sleepy. Yeah, so it's not so easy. Like, you can't just, like, call up your vet whenever something's weird and just take him in for, like, a
you
quick
really have
checkup.
to, like, research and stuff like that to try and find who you feel comfortable with bringing
And you're not,
to.
yeah, and you're not staying in the area. Like, you're only in that area for, like, a day. So, like, they're like, well, like, can you come back next week and we can, like, check the lump out again? It's like, well, I can't, because we're not going to be, like, in a week from now, we're going to be in another country or whatever. Like, we're not going to be here. So, like, yeah, like, you can't come back for, like, a checkup, and, like, you basically have to do it all in one go. And then exercise. Because we're on the boat, like, it's not, like, a big space for him to run around. He has, like, his little, like, squeaky toys. He'll, like, chase after them. This is the squirrel he got the other day. But, yeah, like, we'll take him outside. We try to go for really long walks and, like, let him, like, zoom around. When we're in open areas, we'll just let him off his leash and let him just, like, zoom around.
We'll hang out for, like, a couple
hang
hours.
out for a few hours outside and stuff like that. And just make sure he gets enough exercise. He's pretty lazy. Like, he's usually, like, tired before we are a lot of the time. But, yeah, just making sure. Sometimes he's, like, a bit, like, wild on the boat. And we're like, okay, we have to take him out. Like, he'll start, like, barking at you and stuff. He just wants to go play.
Swimming burns a lot of his
Swimming, yeah. He loves to swim. He's, like, beyond obsessed with, I call them, like, water squirrels, fish. Like, he'll just, like, chase fish. Like, if he sees a fish splash or something, like, way out in the bay, he'll just jump in the water, take off, swim after the fish. He never catches them, but he just is relentless with it anyway. He'd do it for hours and hours and hours and hours. If you let him, he would just literally swim after fish for the whole day. But that tires him out a lot. We usually have to wrangle him back in because he doesn't want to come back. Like, Austin had to go out in the dinghy the other day because he was chasing fish, like, and they were just, like, tons of fish. He was going crazy, and he chased them, like, way out into the bay. He's swimming after them,
like, dusk,
and it's getting dark, and he just won't come back. He's just swimming after the fish, just, like, that's all he sees. Like, all he can think about is, like, fish, fish, fish. He doesn't even hear you, like, when you're calling him and he's chasing fish. He just doesn't, like, there's, like nothing. Like, it's, like, echoes in his ears. But Austin had to actually jump in the dinghy and take off after him and go get him and make him come back because he just wasn't coming back. He's just swimming after the fish. But then he'll be, like, zonked. Like, he'll be so tired. The last thing is salt water. This was a big issue we had when we first came here. I was a bit worried about this because we, like, live in Canada. We've always been on lakes. He's never, like, Lenny has never been
water.
Really, like, he's maybe a couple times, like, when we're, like, east or something, but he's never been around salt water. He's always used to lakes, like, everything. And so he's used to being able to, like, walk into, most of the time he doesn't, like, we don't even put out water, like, if we're up at the cottage or whatever, like, outside, because, like, what he does is, like, he'll just walk out into the lake and he'll drink, and he just assumes all water is fresh water. So when we came to the med, we were kind of stressing, like, how are we going to teach him not to drink the salt water? Because, like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know. And, like, that was a really, really tough thing. Like, he would go out and he'd swim and he'd do the usual thing where he's out. Like, we'd put fresh water bowls, like, always trying to give him, like, just, like, bowls of water. And he doesn't, like it as much as just going out into the water and drinking. And he would be out, like, swimming, and you'd catch him just, like, licking the water as he's out there swimming, and you're like, no, you can't lick that, you have to bring him back in. He doesn't get it. He doesn't like it. Like later, he'll be sitting there like, with his tongue out because it's like his mouth is like so salty. But that was really hard to try to get him to stop drinking salt water. I think now he's like learned it, but for a long time we just had to constantly be like, hey, don't drink that, don't drink that, don't drink that. Like you couldn't turn your back on him, or you'd find him.
Yeah,
like,
he just had to go in for short amounts of time.
You couldn't turn your back on him, or you'd just catch him like out in the water just drinking it again. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, sailing with a dog is definitely more complicated than just sailing just with the two of us. We have to plan things a lot more. Like, we can't just take like a random taxi or public transit.
Or do a long passage.
We can't do like overnight, like long passages. But yeah, it's like if you have a dog and you want to sail, like, don't leave your dog at home. It's definitely doable. I wouldn't go sailing without him. So yeah, we wouldn't have done this if Lenny couldn't come. So we found a way to make it work. And yeah, now Lenny gets to travel around with us. Wow, I don't think he likes it.
He likes it.
He's looking at me like it's gonna kill him. What's in there? What's in there? Right back.
Lenny really likes his new
Squirrel.
Squirrel squeaker.
Give me the squirrel. Give me that squirrel. Come on. Give it to me. Ready? Okay. Get it. What's with the shaking? So our battery is screwed, so we need to keep running the engine now to charge up the battery because the solar isn't charging it anymore. Gotta go buy a new battery. Hear that, Lenny? Silence. The engine is so loud.